Welcome into the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Nice to have you along for the ride. We're actually going to start off with the Eagles today. We don't really get to do that too often these days. Why the Kelly Green jersey, why Kelly Green week has been ruined for me. I don't know about you, but it's been ruined for me. We'll get into why. We'll also get into Jalen Hurts' comments yesterday on the Philadelphia Eagles, as one would assume, playing in the Kelly Green jersey, getting a picture with Randall Cunningham showing the Kelly Green jersey, taking on Tua Tagovailoa, of course, the guy that he was benched for in a championship game in college. Now, that really doesn't mean anything to him right now. He just wants to win on Sunday, and thank goodness for that, because the Eagles, at this point, could really use a win to lift our spirits. And I didn't think I'd say that about a 5-1 football team, but here we are with a 5-1 football team taking on a 5-1 football team. Eagles, 2.5-point favorites right now at home against the Dolphins. And then we'll also talk about Julio Jones coming to Philadelphia and the line from yesterday, I'm here to dominate. Don't get it twisted. I'm here to dominate. We'll hear from Julio Jones himself from the locker room yesterday. That is what everyone is running with. He really said all the right things yesterday. I saw that clip before I saw his entire media session at his locker yesterday at the Novacare Complex. Put it this way. Don't get it twisted. He's here to dominate, but also don't get it twisted that people might be using that for hot takes that just are unfounded. He's not here to take reps away from A.J. Brown or take reps away from Devontae Smith. He's not here to take reps away from anybody. Yes, he would like to dominate. He's going to play the best of his ability, but he said all the right things. What do you want him coming in here and be like, maybe I'll help? No, I'd rather have a guy come out here and talk about dominate. He knows at 34 years old, he's not coming in here to be the leading receiver in the NFL. He knows he's not coming in here to take away from A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or even Dallas Goedert or even DeAndre Swift. It more or less, he's here to help in the red zone. That's what he's here for. Now, Nick Sirianni didn't flat out come out and say that was the reason when he was here, but he implied that there's some things that they need explosiveness for, and he still has that explosiveness. We'll also hear from Nick Sirianni on the signing of Julio Jones and what he could do to help out this ball club. That's what Nick Sirianni got into at length. I found it interesting. When you listen to Nick Sirianni's quote, and I'll play it for you, he goes out of his way to mention Olamide Zaccheaus, okay? He doesn't go out of his way to mention A.J. Brown. He doesn't go out of his way to mention Devontae Smith. He goes out of his way to talk about the third wide receiver. So who Julio Jones is competing with is Olamide Zaccheaus. He's competing to be the new Quez Watkins. He's competing to be the new and better version of Olamide Zaccheaus. So AJ and I think Devontae are safe. They might not be safe in the red zone, but I think everywhere else they're pretty safe. So we'll get into that conversation. We'll get into the Philadelphia Phillies playing NLCS Game 3 tonight at 5:07 in Arizona. I'm so excited about it. I can't help but just be tickled about it. And I also can't help the fact that the Arizona Diamondbacks fans are not showing up. There's a lot of concerns. Tickets going for like $20. What? Huh? Free? So they're free. You have free tickets to the playoff game if you just go to Arizona. All you got to do is get to Arizona and you basically go to the game for free. I love when other fan bases, when a Philadelphia fan base is coming into town, I love when that other fan base is worried about the takeover. I love that. We talk about it all the time in years past with obviously football crowds doing it. Man, oh man, to think about it happening in baseball, to think about it happening in Arizona, another town that in Phoenix, another town there that the Philadelphians love going to. Oh, baby, it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And right now the stories are, and I just saw it with my friends at Fox 29 there, they just had the Fox 10 crew from Phoenix. They had him on, and they're looking for Arizona Diamondbacks fans, and they couldn't find them in Philadelphia. D-backs fans weren't coming this way. They weren't coming out east, were they? No. But you know who's from the east that's coming out west there? Philadelphia Phillies fans. So I look forward to seeing some tailgates, look forward to seeing a lot of Phillies jerseys, and I look forward to one of the most beautiful sounds in all the land. The sound of being in an opposing ballpark and it sounding like a home game. That's what I look forward to tonight at 5:07. We'll cover it all on today's Farzy Show. And, of course, we'll talk about your comments. And I want to tease one thing. Tomorrow we're going to have a very special guest for you people that really enjoy the betting. Oh, boy, we're going to have ourselves a good time. Bill Krockenberger, professional bettor, professional gambler, is going to help us cover all the weekend whatnots when it comes to the betting world. And we'll talk to him about his picks. And I also have this question for him. I'm always curious, if you live your life as a professional bettor, professional gambler, you have to have like every team has to have a really good memory for you or a really bad memory for you. I'm curious where Philadelphia is in his head, in his Rolodex of memories, his Rolodex of bets. For the people not necessarily on the podcast, but don't know what a Rolodex is. Before phones, we used to keep all our information and contacts in a little rolly file that would be there on your desk, and you roll it, and you find the number, and you go, "Oh, that's Mark Barzetta. I got to call him." There he is. Boom. Anyway, so sorry if I had to mansplain that to my generation. For the younger generation, that's what it is. Anyway, so Bill will be joining us tomorrow to talk about his best bets and also looking at the weekend ahead, as well as his best memories surrounding, or maybe worst memories surrounding his bets on Philadelphia sports teams. So let's get to Julio Jones. This is what took the internet by storm a little bit yesterday. There's two things that took the internet by storm. This is number one. The first thing is this comment. This is courtesy of Howard Eskin's X account there on Twitter. Here is Julio Jones in his locker and the quote that was heard round the NovaCare complex and around the Delaware Valley.
At this to dominate. Don't get it twisted. I'm here to dominate, but I'm saying like they have the guys are already here, they solidified and they're in their positions, right? So like wherever they need me to go and be, I'm gonna do that at my best of my ability.
Here we go. All right, perfect. So whatever role they give him, he's going to dominate in that role. Don't get that part of it twisted. Also, don't get it twisted. He is not here to be a focal point. He's not here for 1,800 yards. He's not here for that at 34 years old. So Nick Sirianni yesterday talked about why Julio Jones is here now, what he saw on film that led him to believe that Julio Jones can still be a contributor to a high-flying offense that the Eagles have.
I'm sorry. Just you're always looking at the explosion. Does he still have the juice in his legs and the ability to run, the ability to get out of cuts, the ability to make plays, and all those things were we thought was still good. And like I said, that's what you do. You can look at the stats, you can do all those different things, but it's about putting the tape on and seeing what you see and what you think, and and then seeing him work out the other day, we're like, yeah, he's still got a lot of pop in his legs, and we're excited about that.
That's all you need at this point. You get that pop in his legs. The legs are always the first to go, as every athlete will ever tell you. The legs are the first to go. The Eagles, the bottom line in all of this, as I walked you through it yesterday, and I'll have for you Nick Sirianni explaining how this all came together. And when Julio Jones was at his locker yesterday, he was asked about how long he had been talking to Howie, and he was just like, no, you can't really get into that. So he was a little coy on giving that information. But the reason he's here, when I got over what? Really? He's here? Okay. Why? And first thing that jumped out was like, well, where do they need the most help? And obviously they need the most help in the red zone. And when you have a target like him, 6'3", 6'4", with that explosion still in his legs, then he can still be that big body receiver they need in the end zone, in the red zone, to help them actually, get this, score points more consistently and not the 25th ranked red zone offense in the NFL. And speaking of, it's 2 for 3 in the red zone against the Jets. So if there's one positive you can take away from that game, that would be it. So Julio Jones got into that conversation a little bit. Just, hey, wherever you can help me out, wherever I can help you out, I'm here to help and dominate in whatever role you put me in. And then there was Nick Sirianni there talking about that explosiveness he still has in those 34-year-old legs. So how did this happen? How long was this in the works? Was it something they were just kind of kicking the tires on for a while, and then once Quez went down, they decided, all right, it's time to bring him in here. We need some more veteran help. And we need some more. We need another big body receiver there for Jalen Hurts to find in the end zone when they're on the 10-yard line, when they're on the 15-yard line, whatever the case may be. So here's how it came together, and I found it very interesting. Nick Sirianni, the only guy who really mentions is Olamide Zaccheaus, your wide receiver number 3 right now. Here's Nick on how this all went down.
Yeah, obviously we talked through things. We're a little banged up at wide receiver, and just wanted to add some extra depth and another proven guy in there. And so Howie and I, like we always do, watch different guys together. And his name came up. We watched him together, and it was pretty obvious. We thought when he was at Tampa last year that the film was good, and we were excited about the possibility to add him. And that's no, Quez is out for a little bit, as everybody knows, but I do want to take a second to say, a guy like OZ, the toughness that he has, and how reliable he is as a player, a guy like that always has a spot on offenses that I'm going to be a part of, always. And I've been able to have great success with guys that have those two common denominators of, toughness and reliability. And so he's going to continue to give us that as we continue on right here. And no indication is that a knock on OZ. It's just where we are a little bit banged up, and then just to get a little bit more depth in there of some guys that have played good football. And obviously he's a Hall of Fame player, and so he's played good football, and we still thought the tape was good. So excited to add him to the roster.
Olamide Zaccheaus, your 3rd wide receiver, now has competition at his job again. And instead of his competition being Quez Watkins, his competition is now Julio Jones, a guy that Jalen Hurts yesterday described as a future Hall of Famer. Go get him, kid. On paper, this is a great move. It's not a huge moving the needle type move, but it gives them another dimension. It gives them another wrinkle. It gives them another layer, offensively speaking. Anything they can do to help their offense that has been wildly inefficient in crunch time, in the red zone, where you should be able to punch it in. You can't leave those points on the board like we've talked about against the upper echelon teams, like the Dolphins coming into town, like San Francisco we have coming up. I hate to put the Cowboys in that same realm, but yes, divisionally speaking, yes, the Cowboys as well. This should help. I don't think it hurts. Doesn't hurt at all, actually. It helps. So I will bask in the idea of positivity surrounding Julio Jones right now. Not in what would be a good way to describe it. Not delusions of grandeur. Just coming in, catching a couple maybe 3 passes. Even that. There's a couple passes. A couple looks, a couple targets in the red zone there. That's all I think this team needs at this point. I maybe you guys can help me out here. Maybe I'm a stick in the mud. But losing to the Jets has taken away the joy and excitement of watching the Philadelphia Eagles play in Kelly Green. Maybe it'll change. It probably will change the moment I tune into the game and I see them in the Kelly Green. And I'm like, that's the team I got to know as a kid. That kind of thing. This is great. But as far as everything, if you notice the backdrop behind Nick Sirianni, it is a new backdrop. It's a Kelly Green backdrop with the old logo, the old Eagles with the wings out and the whole thing. And that's the new thing. All the joy and mojo and excitement has been taken away because they lost to the Jets. If they were 6-0 and they were going into this game in the Kelly Green jersey and you were taking on a 5-1 Miami Dolphins team, it would be a lot better. It'd be like, this is going to be so great. They're going to come away. They're going to get a home win. But because they lost, it's less fun. Because your quarterback threw 3 interceptions, I should say was credited 3 interceptions. Because you turned the ball over a total of 4 times in that game, and because it's the first loss of the season, it takes away the excitement of seeing that nostalgia there on the field. They're doing everything, including their injury report. Now, I mentioned yesterday there's 2 things that jumped out to me that kind of hit me the wrong way. This is certainly one of them. Oh, my God. Look at this injury report. Look past the Kelly Green and the somewhat difficult to read font, but whatever. Here's what you got. The Eagles injury report. Blankenship, Johnson, Roby, Smith, Carter, Goddard, Slay, Williams, Brown, Ricks, Tui Pelotu. 11 guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11! Your did not practices. Blankenship with the ribs, Lane Johnson with the ankle, Roby with the shoulder, Devontae Smith with a hamstring injury. Limited. Jalen Carter, Dallas Goddard, Darius Slay, Milton Williams. Full participants, Sidney Brown, Eli Ricks, and Marlon Tui Pelotu. Okay. Here's my take. Lane Johnson's playing. The news that came out this week about it not being that bad, that he could even go this weekend, he's playing. If we know anything about Lane Johnson, if there's a question about whether or not he's playing, he's playing. That's what we've learned about him. The other thing on this list here, Jalen Carter, I need him to play in this game. For my own sanity, I need him to play in this game. Darius Slay, please, for the love of all that is holy, be ready to play for this game. You're going, like, I know you guys have heard, if you don't follow it all that closely, I know you've heard that the Miami Dolphins are a very good football team. They're coming in, like I said, at 5-1. The Eagles are 5-1. The Eagles are 2-0 at home this year. The Dolphins are 2-1 on the road. Here's what's really interesting about the Miami Dolphins. First off, their offense at 37.5 points per game. That's pretty good. Okay. And then, listen to this. If you score 37.2 points per game, you would assume that your offense is pretty good as far as yards, right? And rushing and passing. They're number one in points and yards, okay? They're number one in pass yards. They're number one in rush yards. That's how good they are. An Eagles defense without Darius Slay, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, maybe not having your starting safety in Reed Blankenship, and then now Josiah Scott getting signed? Okay, that's concerning when you're talking about all the weapons they have at their disposal on the offensive side of things there for the Miami Dolphins. This game's a huge concern. Anytime you see it, and even the novice bettor knows that you get 3 points for being at home, essentially, and the Eagles right now are getting 2.5 points at home. They're 2.5 point favorites, I should say, at home against the Miami Dolphins. So that's nothing. That is not great. Not great even a little bit. This game is a huge concern. If you don't have the concern, this is a dose of reality. The Eagles in their secondary are extremely banged up. This is a horrendous time to be banged up in your secondary against Tua and the weapons he has at his disposal. This is a scary game for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know we've been really enjoyed the Phillies run and all that stuff, and we know the Jets loss was bad, and the Eagles got the Kelly Green, and that's exciting, and it's going to be hard. Jalen Hurts only lost 2 games as a starter in the last 2 years for the Eagles. So what should we really be concerned about? The Dolphins that's who you should be concerned about. The Miami Dolphins, that's who you should be concerned about. And I wasn't really a huge Tua guy, but damn, he has made me a big Tua guy. And I love the idea of the revenge factor, but I love the idea of Jalen probably still being in the back of his head, knowing him. He won't admit to it. But still, I was benched for this guy. I later had to go to Oklahoma. I had to change schools because of this guy. And yeah, I'm not saying it's a personal thing. I'm not saying that he doesn't like Tua. They've both talked about how they're going to catch up at some point and wish each other luck. And Tua even talked about it yesterday during his press conference about how, yeah, it's not going to be like buddy. We're not going to have sleepovers or anything like that. But like, yeah, we're friends, and we're not going to be, chopping it up before and after the game, smiling and laughing and giggling and that whole thing. No, it's a business. This is a business trip. But knowing Jalen Hurts the way we know him now, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that he still thinks about getting benched for Tua Tagovailoa in a championship game at halftime in college at Alabama. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all. That's still rattling around in that very motivated brain of his. So if you're looking for the bulletin board stuff, and when I say bulletin board stuff, I don't mean that literally. I mean in general, off the field motivating factors. This is probably a motivating factor for Jalen Hurts. To say, all right, man, that was your show in college. Now welcome to my show. This is the NFL. It's a totally different ballgame now. So far in the NFL, it has very much been the Tua show. What people are saying about Tua and his offense, they're not saying about Jalen Hurts and his offense. They're not having the same concerns about Jalen Hurts that they have for Tua Tagovailoa, and it doesn't appear that they have many concerns about Tua this season. This is a bad week to be banged up in their secondary, and man, oh man, they are banged up. When I see Josiah Scott being brought back after he came in for Avonte Maddox last year and did not have a great showing against the Dallas Cowboys in particular, yeah, I think a lot of people were ready to move on from Josiah Scott. And now he's back. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? So the reason I mentioned Jalen Carter there is that you're going to need every ounce of that push up the middle. You're going to need every opportunity you can get to try to force a turnover. You're going to need every opportunity you can get to put the Miami Dolphins back against the wall, to put the Fins back against the wall. And Jalen Carter does that better than not only just about everybody on this or everybody on that defensive line, but he does it better than almost anybody in the entire NFL. And I think the Eagles sorely missed him last week. And I made the point that the turnover battle was 4-0 in favor of the Jets. Jets didn't turn the ball over once. The Eagles didn't take the ball away once. The Eagles gave the ball to the Jets 4 times. I'm not saying Jalen Carter automatically forces an interception or a fumble, but damn, I like their odds a lot more of the quarterback making a mistake if Jalen Carter's breathing down their neck. The other thing that gives me some confidence here that this defense is going to be able to step up, because it doesn't just come down to the cornerbacks and their secondary. It also comes down to the pass rush and the idea of trying to force a quarterback into mistakes. Hassan Reddick, enough cannot be made about this. 5.5 sacks in the 3 games since he got the cast off his hand. The sacks he came up with against the Rams, those were game-sealing sacks. The Rams, and I said it at the time, and I'll say it again, Rams games don't start till the fourth quarter. Like, that's how their offense has been clicking all season. It doesn't really click until the fourth quarter. The Eagles had the exact opposite experience. The Rams were great in the first half, and then terrible in the second half. A big reason for that was when push was really coming to shove, Hassan Reddick was shoving linemen out of his way to get in the backfield with his speed and his strength and his quick hands, not just his quick one hand. Having Hassan Reddick get hot at the right time, this could be the perfect mix for him and to really contribute to this win. I have Jalen Carter back for that as well. Think about this. We've seen a couple of games, 2 games, where you've seen Hassan Reddick and Jalen Carter be ready to go and be healthy playing together. And in those 2 games, 2 of them, you've got, 3 sacks out of Hassan Reddick? So I look forward to seeing another one of those games. Josh Sweat get it going as well. Nakobe Dean takes another step forward, back into feeling a lot better about his process of getting back into the swing of things on a more regular basis, more consistent basis, get back into game shape, essentially. These are the guys that the Eagles are going to have to rely on to actually make plays for them this week. Darius Slay obviously has to get back and be healthy and be not just healthy, but healthy enough to really make an impact on this game. Just being healthy enough to play isn't going to be enough. But healthy and impactful are the 2 things that you need in this game. And then, obviously, James Bradbury has to step up. And I think your defensive line has to be the star of the show if this Eagles team is going to win and help contain that offense. And then you flip it to the more obvious thing here. If it does come down to the shootout, there's going to be no excuses here when you talk about red zone efficiency in the Philadelphia Eagles. No excuses whatsoever. And that is a ginormous concern for the Eagles this year. Boy, oh boy. Eagles Dolphins this weekend, man. I'm excited for the game. Sunday night, under the lights. I know right now it doesn't mean a lot to me, but the moment I see Jalen Hurts run out of the tunnel and Kelly Green, I'll be like, all right, that's pretty cool. But as far as the juju leading up to it, the good mojo it was supposed to create, no, I'm still I'm into Jets hangover is what I'm in right now. I'm in a Jets hangover. I am a stick in the mud as far as that goes. So that's what we got regarding your Philadelphia Eagles. What else from yesterday? Jalen Hurts' press conference. Like, usually Jalen has wonderful words of wisdom. When I was listening to him yesterday, nothing really jumped out to me. He talked about mistakes they made offensively against the Jets. And, hey, what did the film show you? You can't turn the football over 4 times. Okay, thanks. That's not all that insightful. He's not really breaking news or anything that he said yesterday. He talked about his relationship with Tua, how they're cool, and talked about Julio Jones, what his impact is. This was what he said on Julio Jones' impact. We'll see. We'll see. When he talked about Julio Jones, the player, as I mentioned earlier, he talked about the Hall of Fame caliber player, the Hall of Fame player that he is, a future Hall of Famer. When he talked about the impact he'll have here in this offense, we'll see. Vic Fangio's defense in Miami, any advantage to the fact that he'd been playing against that already with Jonathan Gannon? Any advantage the fact that Vic Fangio was here before the Super Bowl and the week leading up to the Super Bowl, helping install a more identical version of his defense to the Eagles? Any advantage there? Everyone's got their own wrinkles. That's what Jalen Hurts said. So nothing overly insightful. And you know what? I actually like that this week. I could take that this week. Just play. Just play better. Make better decisions with the football. Be more protective of the football. Just play. I don't need any rent is due. I need to be better. I don't need any of that this week. You know what I need this week? I just need a win. I need a win. And if not a win, I need a, God forbid, some sort of moral victory. I need a 38-35. It's got to be like that. That's what I need. So I can bitch and moan about the defense. I need a close game this week. I don't even need to win this week. I just need a close game this week. And I don't need a lot of turnovers. 4 of them especially? Nope, not a little too much. Yes, I want to win. I want the Eagles to walk off the field late Sunday night. I want to be at Ocean Casino talking about a victory. I want the Eagles to talk. I want to be talking about a 41-13 win. Not happening. But I just need the Eagles to show that this offense can keep up with what the Dolphins are going to be putting out there. And I want the defense to be good enough to somewhat contain the number 1 offense in the NFL. That's what I need. Give me a little taste of that going forward. And that's what you got from the Eagles yesterday. Also, again, Lane Johnson, I expect him to play come Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. Let's talk a little baseball. Philadelphia Phillies are in Arizona for NLCS Game 3 in Phoenix. And good Lord, I can't believe. I thought the Atlanta series was dirt cheap. You were still getting triple digits in terms of ticket prices here. But according to SeatGeek, Major League Baseball's official reseller partner, tickets at Chase Field are $13. That has gone down since yesterday, where the cheapest tickets were $19. I mentioned earlier $20. That was high. $19, now $13. Standing room at Citizens Bank Park was $250. You can get hotel rooms right now for about $150 in Arizona. Your lodging is still cheaper than the actual ticket to the game to stand for 3 hours. As of right now, the round trip tickets that people are finding are around $300 to $350. Yeah, you're looking at a very good deal. You're looking at a very good deal to go to Game 3 tonight of the NLCS in Arizona. I have been to that stadium. I've been to Chase Field. It's got a cavernous feel to it. It's also one of the first stadiums I remember that sold whiskey, Jack Daniel's whiskey right there in a concession stand. So that was kind of cool. But they got great food. Not like Citizens Bank food. Like Citizens Bank Park food, obviously, is fantastic. It's number one. But they got a good food. They got a good deal there. Had some good nachos. I had some helmet nachos that were delectable. I had the baseball bat pretzel. That was fantastic. Oh, yeah, it's a baseball bat that is a pretzel. It's a good time. And, of course, they have the pool. So you can't use that unless you're running it out. But it's a cavernous stadium. Nice area. I believe they had an area up top for the kids to run around on if you get there before the game. It's nice. But that's what it's going for. I am fully expecting, and I know there's other trips going out there. I think Philly Sports Trips is doing it. I think fans of Philly are doing it as well. They have people going out there. I am fully expecting tonight at 5:07 when Kyle Schwarber steps to the plate. I am fully expecting the oohs and ahs with every Kyle Schwarber at bat, similar to what we hear here at Citizens Bank Park. If Kyle Schwarber tattoos the first pitch off a foot, that's Fought, the pitcher, not his foot. Fought. I'm expecting to hear the screams, yells, and excitement from Philadelphia Phillies fans being out there in Arizona. They have not faced him, as I mentioned yesterday. They are facing a guy who's 3-9 with a 5.57 ERA. I expect them to do pretty well today. On the other side of things, when Ranger Suarez takes to the hill on the bottom of the first inning, I expect to hear those Phillies fans again and root Ranger on in a building that he had the best start of his season, 7 scoreless tossed against the Arizona Diamondbacks, as he did in June. I'm expecting to hear the soundtrack of this game be the voices of you, the Philadelphia fan. So hopefully I will not be disappointed in that venture, and I don't think I will be disappointed in that venture. So that's what you got going on tonight in Arizona. One of the things I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing is Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott. JT Realmuto started the hit. Alec Boehm obviously got the hit. He was more than due before he had his 2-run double there in game 2. Bryson Stott putting it together at the plate a little bit more. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen that Bryson Stott classic 0-2 count that all of a sudden ends up as 10 pitches and he works a walk. Or he puts a single down the dribbles into the outfield, really seeing eye single. He had one of those in game 2. But it's been a while since we've seen those long at bats from Bryson Stott. I know it's a very particular thing, but tonight might be a night where you see that kind of thing going out there with Bryson Stott. Those are 2 guys I'm going to be watching for tonight. And how about Gold Glove categories here? Alec Boehm gets Gold Glove consideration as a finalist at 3rd. Bryson Stott gets Gold Glove consideration at 2nd. JT Realmuto gets Gold Glove consideration as a finalist behind the plate. Zach Wheeler and Taijuan Walker over Ranger Suarez. That was surprising to me. Gold Glove consideration as finalists right there. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. One name that might surprise you. Johan Rojas, not mentioned. Now, Johan, that's a new nickname. Johan Rojas not get consideration, called up too late, as one would assume. But I think we all know there's a Gold Glove caliber center fielder patrolling that green for the Eagles in the middle of the outfield. For the Phillies in the middle of the outfield in Johan Rojas. Not surprised he wasn't mentioned. Not surprised he didn't get it this year. A little up too late. But as of right now, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table in the not too distant future here for the Phillies. One last thing on tonight. And it's not so much tonight as it's kind of just always in baseball right now. I've seen this conversation start up on social media about Mike Trout versus Bryce Harper. Mike Trout is an incredible baseball player who has had trouble staying healthy. Mike Trout's one of the best baseball players I've ever seen. Bryce Harper is one of the best baseball players I've ever seen, too. In that regard, I'm going to take the guy that appears to stay healthy, knock on wood, and I'm going to take the guy that seems to win in the playoffs. No, he hasn't won in the World Series, but man, oh man, if you're talking about the career, who would you rather have on your squad, Bryce Harper or Mike Trout? If you buy into, which I strongly suggest you do, the overall mentality takeover of a clubhouse like Bryce Harper has had here in Philadelphia. And you hear Aaron Nola talk about just yesterday after he started about when he knew this team was going to start winning baseball games. And he said it was when they signed Bryce Harper. I'm taking Bryce Harper over Mike Trout. I know this conversation has started up over social media. I just want to let you know where I stand on it because I find it to be fascinating. But I'm going Harper over Trout. And that's not a recency bias, but if you got to take, first off, you have to have a conversation over who's had a better career. It's Bryce Harper. Who's put up better individual stats? Without a question, it's Mike Trout. But who's had the better career, the more successful career to this point? It's not just about being on a better team. It's about being on a good team and then being able to take them over the edge. And that's what Bryce Harper's done here in Philadelphia. Mike Trout has not done that in Anaheim. For various reasons. I'm not saying it's all Mike Trout's fault. For the Mike Trout apologists out there, I understand that other circumstances come into effect here. But the bottom line is bottom line. Bryce Harper, man, forces wins to happen. Mike Trout does not. Regardless of the circumstance. They've gone out. They've spent money. They've built around Mike Trout. They haven't done anything with it. Here in Philadelphia, you're about to make your second trip to the World Series in 2 years. That ain't bad, man. That ain't bad. When you talk about 11 years of losing in between, it all changed when Bryce Harper got here. Love Mike Trout, one of the best baseball players I've ever seen. But if you're talking about a guy to come in and put your team over the edge, I'm going Bryce Harper. And I know it was the opportunity that was laid in front of him, but man, did he take it and run with it. You're talking about a guy, was it Matt Gelb that put it out there, the days, 88 days? Bryce Harper had never played first base until 88 days ago, now 90 days ago. And he's making diving plays for you at first base. I know I reference it every time I talk about Bryce Harper as a first baseman, but man, I told you, when he was going to play first base, it wasn't going to be some timid first baseman. He was going to be thrown across the field. He's going to try to get force outs at third. He's going to try to make the big play. And the first game he's at first base, he's jumping in the camera well in Pittsburgh. That's the mentality of Bryce Harper. Yeah, I'll take that. It is a very similar mentality to a guy like Chase Utley. And that's the mentality we always praise, right? That's the guy that Charlie Manuel would talk about as it's not old school, it's good school. And I love that quote. Right after it's hitting season, right after I got 2 rules, be on time and hustle, one of my favorite things I've ever heard from Charlie Manuel is it's not old school, it's good school. And Bryce Harper comes from good school. Every once in a while, we see the non-hustle play. Every once in a while, we see him make the non-heady play. And you see him, Chase Utley was a guy that never did any of those things. He always hustled, and he always made the heads-up play. But it's similar to a guy like Chase Utley when you talk about a guy just doing everything he possibly can to help a team win a game. Bryce Harper absolutely has that. I'm not saying Mike Trout does it, but, man, it just comes through. It screams from Bryce Harper. Not so much Mike Trout, because he hasn't had the opportunity enough to play on the biggest stage. And Bryce Harper obviously has. And that's not just because he's on the East Coast. It's not an East Coast bias thing. That's because he's put himself on the big stage, the playoffs, and he's won a lot of games. Mike Trout, and not so much. So that's where I side on that whole debate. Let me tell you right now about my friends at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Make sure you check out MyBookie.ag and all they have to offer, especially during the football season. Oh, they are fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to all they offer, especially what they're offering right now with 38,000. How about this? Not going to get this anywhere else. Plus 38,000 right now when you try MyBookie and grab the money bag on a potential Super Bowl frontrunner at a long shot odd of 38,000. Plus 38,000 right now for Eagles and Chiefs. You want to find the odds like that anywhere? You're not going to find odds like that anywhere. Check out MyBookie.ag. That's MyBookie.ag, where you can get odds right now at plus 38,000 on Eagles and Chiefs. Use promo code Farzy at MyBookie.ag. That's promo code Farzy at MyBookie.ag. And you can receive on your first deposit, receive up to $200 in cash. That's promo code Farzy to claim your own cash bonus right now. Use MyBookie for daily odds boosts, same game parlays, and take advantage of huge prize pool contests. Plus, MyBookie has no strings attached cash bonus that lets you deposit and withdraw quick So make sure you take advantage of all they have to offer right now at MyBookie when you use promo code Farzy. That's MyBookie, promo code Farzy. Let's get into the chat check and see how your wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Going to start it over on the Jacob page here. Oh, man. Eric Wisniewski, what's up, man? Did I say that right? So Eagles offensive coordinator is going to call about 56 pass plays this week. Brian Johnson is a problem. Brian Johnson is a problem. Brian Johnson is not a solution. I hope Brian Johnson finds a solution. That's how I look at Brian Johnson. This would be a great game for him to find that solution. As much as it's a horrible game to have a banged-up secondary, as much as it's a horrible game to have this many players on your injured list, of these 11 fellas, let's go through this real quick. Sorry to do this, but here's a little fun game here. Okay, ready? Blankenship, Roby, Carter, Slay, Williams, Brown, Ricks. Oh, good God. 8 of these 11 players are on the defensive side of the football. 8! Yeah, but so that's that. Other than that, offensive side of the football needs to be on their best behavior. They need to be in the swing of things in this game. This is the game we've talked about all year. But really, when you boil it down, the Dolphins game is the game we've talked about all year. What's going to happen when you play against the upper echelon teams and you don't score the red? What's going to happen if you can't run the ball? If you can't throw the ball? What's going to happen? You can't turn the football up. What's going to happen if you don't score the red zone? What's going to happen if you allow 30-plus points like you did against Commanders? If you do that against a team, what if you play against the Dolphins the way you played against the Commanders? Is that going to work? Not going to work. It's not going to work. This is the game we've talked about all year. This is what the Eagles have been preparing for all year. Can you beat the upper echelon teams? Steve, everybody mad at Mike last week on the postgame show was gold. Steve, I was on Mike's side. I had a major problem with that Derek Gunn and that Seth Joyner fella. All year, the Eagles 5-0, and we've got criticism coming out of everything about the Eagles. They actually finally lose a game, hardly any criticism. That doesn't make any damn sense to me. And yes, like both arguments were right because they were arguing different things. If you're arguing whether or not things like this happen, you're right. Things like this happen. Anyone that's watched like 5 NFL games know this stuff happens. The question is why it happened and what the hell? Why did this happen? Double down on it. And that's what Mike was arguing. That's what I was arguing. If you're Jalen Hurts, you don't throw that ball at 3rd and 9 to end the game. Take the sack. Let him call a timeout. Punt it down the field. And the fact that they knew exactly what he was doing on that play by showing blitz and then backing off for the interception is horrible. Good Lord. I'm not over it. I'm still not over the Jets game. It's Thursday, and I'm not over it yet. The only thing that's going to make me over it is winning this game against the Dolphins. That's the only thing that's going to make me get over that Jets game. It's the only thing. But, Steve, that was pretty funny. Eric, what's up? I need 0 interceptions from Jalen Hurts. I need Swift to carry the ball like 20 times. Got to convert in the red zone touchdowns. I agree with all that, and that might be what the best possible thing. That must be the best possible thing. That's the best possible thing the Eagles could do, especially if their secondary is banged up, is DeAndre Swift have at it. Keep running the football. Don't abandon the run. If it doesn't work early, keep running. It's going to work. If you look at what the Dolphins have done this season in their run defense, here it is. Yeah, okay. 20th in the NFL. They're ranked 20th in the NFL. They allow 114 yards per game on the ground. Through the air, they're 19th. They allow 229 yards through the air. Eagles are actually 20th, and they have the second best run defense in the entire NFL. So I'm going to go ahead and say running the football is going to be a good thing for the Eagles here. I'm going to go ahead and say 10 carries is not enough for DeAndre Swift. I'm going to go ahead and say that you're going to have to get him heavily involved and do this thing too. Don't do the thing that I hate where you say, like what Brian Johnson said yesterday, we're throwing the football close to the line of scrimmage in screens or flat, whatever. That is not a run play. Don't give me, it's like a run play. Yeah, right. Things are like a lot of things, but they're not those things. So just maybe run the football. Hand the ball to the running back. The description is in the title. Anyway, so there you go. That's where I'm at right now in a dark place. Steve, you guys, that's very nice of you, Steve. Thank you. God bless the Phils. Jason A., I agree entirely. Let's see what's going over here on the Farzy Show page. See how you wonderful people are doing over here as well. Sean Gillespie, good morning. IBH, good morning. A 40-year-old Julio Jones competing. He's 34. He's 34. That's what you got coming in. There's Sean. Just run the damn ball, says Sean Gillespie. Kelly Green is the reason for the Eagles' recent lackluster play. Problem solved. I hope you're right. Sean Kilray, what's going on? Still have the gas in the I still have gas in the tank like Julio. I'm good to give it a go for the Eagles. Oh, you're good to go. Sean, you want to play? Yeah, what's your 40 time these days? IBH bringing back Josiah Scott is the most alarming move. Last year, he was toast in the slot. Thank you, IBH. You're on the same page as I am. So this is how bad it's gotten for the Eagles. Mario Goodrich was supposed to start a couple of weeks ago in the slot. Was it against the Bucs? I think it was against the Bucs. It was against the Bucs. He was inactive. And then he was in because they had no one else. And now in case of emergency, it's gotten so bad, so break this glass. Josiah Scott, ladies and gentlemen. I'm scared. I'm scared. Travis, what's up, Travis? If they lose to the Dolphins, we are not winning any more games after someone on offense needs to be fired. Ooh, we're already there. I don't think anyone's getting fired. At worst, you're going to have play calling taken away from Brian Johnson. And I'll go back to my point on Tuesday where Nick Sirianni talked about how much he's involved in the play calling. It was more than I assumed. Now, he could also be doing the Andy Reid thing where he's just falling on the sword from one of his coaches. And I know a lot of people, and myself included, you want accountability. You want to know the truth. You want to know what's what. But put yourself in the Eagles organization. It's you against the world. Andy Reid would say it all the time. The coach gets too much blame and too much credit, but you always have to find a way to not get credit, but always take the blame. For instance, I remember some play calls there with Andy Reid on a bad 3rd and 1 or something like that. And Marty Mornhinweg was the play caller. And whenever it was a bad play call, Andy Reid would always say, well, that was me. I made that call. And then it was a great play. He's like, oh, Marty's a great guy. Marty does a great job. Nick Sirianni is following in that same conversation. He's following in that same mindset. But yeah, maybe after a bad game here against the Dolphins, if it's a bad play call, if it's bad play calling, then maybe you start to see Nick Sirianni get a little bit more involved there on the sidelines. Almost feel bad for the Desert Snakes. Oh, the Diamondbacks. Almost. I will enjoy 5 p.m. start time today. Professor Dutch, as will I. I was just talking to PJ about it before the show. Oh, my goodness. This is not a complaint. I'm not complaining. Not complaining. One thing that always comes up if I go and speak at a school or something like that, they always, they ask about, obviously being in the business, all that stuff, but they also ask about scheduling, like how you guys work the schedule with games all over the place, that kind of thing. And the mentality that surrounds it is, and I always tell them this, I say, sometimes, when you start out, you're like, wow, the Phillies schedule affects my life. Like I have to be so into the Phillies that I have to schedule about, wow, this is so cool. And then like by year 3, you're like, the damn schedule affects my life. Like I have to, because of when the Phillies play, I can't do that, whatever. And so you get a little like, damn it. But then you quickly remember that watching a baseball game is work for you, quote unquote work. So you dispel that rather quickly. That doesn't mean that it does, from time to time. An 8:07 start time, or God forbid, a 9:07 start time on a primetime football week. It's a bit of a rough week. So a 5:07 start time is a welcomed addition to the schedule. Professor Dutch, good morning. Good morning. Sean Kilrain. I see our boy Ranger going 6. Is that 6 1/3? 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. Okay. We win 5-2. I like it. Stars of the game will be JT, Bryce, Nicky 3 Buttons, and Farzy. Oh, there you go. All right, I like it. I'm about to, Sean Gillespie, I'm about to book a trip to Arizona. All right. The Seans are piping today, man. This is great. Professor Dutch, as they do every day. Professor Dutch, the overreactions to one bad Eagles loss are hilarious. Jalen coming will be fine. Professor Dutch, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to get something out of the way here before we go into full-blown Eagles Dolphins mode for Sunday. Which we'll do tomorrow on Friday's show. But I love Jalen Hurts. I love that Jalen Hurts is your franchise quarterback here in Philadelphia. That has not changed. And I hate that one of the things that we have turned ourselves into as a society, and maybe it's just more prevalent now because you can read it on social media, is that like if you critique once, that means you're out. That's not at all what I'm doing, and that's not what Mike Missinelli is doing or what he did. But for me, that was a piss-poor, unacceptable performance. And that's taking into consideration the first interception wasn't at all his fault. The second interception, he was hit as he threw, and it was lofted into the air. And the third interception was horrendous. And as I pointed out on the postgame show, the interceptions were literally progressively worse. One, all right, not his fault. Second, all right, well, he was hit as he threw. Maybe you should just aid it. The third one, what are you doing? So that's where I'm at with Jalen Hurts. After that one game. But that one game doesn't make me go, he's lost it. He's terrible. They shouldn't have signed him. People literally on my timeline coming up saying this is why I shouldn't sign a running back to a long-term deal as a quarterback. What? You're calling Jalen Hurts a running back? Seriously? Seriously? That's not where I'm at. Jalen Hurts will be in the MVP conversation again by the end of this season. The unfortunate part of that, I think he's going to have to overcome Brian Johnson as his play caller. Overcome. With that being said, that means Brian Johnson might be a guy that costs him at least getting in that conversation. So yes, but Professor Dutch, I do agree that there are people out there that are overreacting and saying stupid things like I just put out in front of you as an example. But I feel I have an appropriate reaction to I'm reacting to the one game. I'm not reacting to an entire season, which is what you do in a post-game show, by the way. Run the ball, says Sean Kilrain, like they've been doing. Make their defense tired for sure. Yeah, wind them down or wear them down. IBH, cheaper to fly and stay in Phoenix than to buy good tickets in the bank. That's a good point. April! Morning, April. McDaniel versus Sirianni, the goofy coaches bowl. I think McDaniel is way more. You know what? I think McDaniel's just funny. I think Nick Sirianni is goofy. I understand what you're saying, but if I'm really trying to like break down their personalities, I think Mike McDaniel's is hilarious. And I think Nick Sirianni is just goofy as hell. By the way, before I go all Philly, yeah, Mike McDaniel, not Mike McDaniels. MS Guzzi. I know you guys have probably heard it by now, but have you ever heard Mike McDaniel talk about the Johnny Manziel story? About when he was like a low-level assistant. He might have been a quality control coach with the Browns. No, he was wide receivers coach. Okay. Oh, Mike Pettin hired him. There you go. But he's with the Browns, and they have Johnny Manziel, and he has to report back that like Johnny Manziel didn't watch any film, and he didn't want to lose his job by like them shooting the messenger. Like, well, shut up, he's our first pick, he's great. And he's like, they didn't watch film. There's no film watched. Imagine that as a low-level assistant here. But yeah, I like both those guys. I mean, I like Nick Sirianni, obviously. Love Nick Sirianni, and I think Mike McDaniel is a hilarious coach. I just hope that he's not a very good coach on Sunday. He's been a very good coach this year, though, for them. So good for him. Sean Kill, I run like a gazelle. Or I used to run like a gazelle. Now I run like a llama, Farzy. Explains my 40 now. There you go. Losing in such a stupid fashion, why that Jets loss makes me so angry. I hope the Eagles feel this too. Sean Gillespie, I agree. I think that's how you have to feel after a game like that. And that's how I hope they feel after a game like that. Not a good game. Not a good game. It goes without saying. All right, let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Before I do that, let me tell you about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station. Enhance your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsStation.com. And how about our friends there at Sky Motorcars? Go to skymotorcars.com for more information. Here we go. Tonight's the night. The Philadelphia Phillies. See, can't do that. Philadelphia Phillies, 5:07 start time. Ranger Suarez gets the start tonight against, yes, you know him as a guy with a 5.57 ERA. You know him as a guy that was 3-9 of the regular season. You also know him as a guy you haven't faced all year. But Brandon Pfaadt gets the start. Important, that also worth noting, the right-handed pitcher has pitched 7 innings this postseason. And in those 7 innings, he has allowed just 3 runs. He's allowed 9 hits, 3 runs on 9 hits, and he's coming off a shutout performance against the LA Dodgers in the NLDS, where he went 4 1/3, allowing just 2 hits to that lineup. That's what you're looking at tonight. Again, 3-9 with a 5.72 ERA, and he is taking on Ranger Suarez, who has just been fantastic so far in the postseason. In 2 starts, he's got a 104 ERA, in 8 2/3 innings of work. He struck out 6, allowing 4 hits, and he's only given up a home run. That's where Ranger Suarez is at. Earlier in the season, as I told you, he did pitch in a June start during his phenomenal month of June in Arizona, where he went 7 scoreless, allowing 4 hits, walking 2, and striking out 7. He used 105 pitches to get through those 7 innings. His best start of the season he had at Chase Field. So I'd love to see him get that going again tonight. For all the Phillies fans out there, let me hear you tonight. 5:07 start time. Look forward to hearing you. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait, hold on. One last thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Flyers are back at it tonight. They're on the ice. 7:30 puck drop tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. The Flyers are messing up this tank job. They're 2-1 on the season. No overtime losses or wins so far in the year. They're coming off a 2-0 shutout win over the Canucks. So they take on the Oilers tonight in South Philadelphia. And then generally speaking, I want to give a hat tip, ladies and gentlemen, to the Aces, who repeat as WNBA champions last night. They won 70-69 over the Liberty to win their 2nd consecutive championship. So good for them. First time, 21 years in the WNBA. So congratulations to them. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, brought to you by MyBookie. Use promo code Farzy at mybookie.ag. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys tonight on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Talk all things Phillies when it comes to Game 3 of the NLCS. Thanks, everybody. See you then.